today for another Sketch to Scrap Saturday video. So for today I've got this sketch for you which contains 4 mini photos. So 4 2 inches by 2 inches photos. And so I decided to kind of cluster that into a square on the kind of towards the right of the spread there. And the title kind of will span from the underneath to just around the corner there. And then also some journaling on the right side there. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm mainly going to be using products from Felicity Jane Felicity Kit, as well as the Hip Kit Club's July Scrapbook Kit, and also Ali Wood's Me Stamp Set. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just kind of going through a bunch of products, mainly pen and papers here from the Hip Kit Club, and I picked out those 2 pen and papers from the Hip Kit Club's July Scrapbook Kit. And the next thing I am doing here is picking out that word happy, which is from the Felicity Jane Felicity Kit, and also that pen paper, which is a kind of a stripy creamish colour, cream and pink colour, to go behind the photos as well. And so I cut up this pen paper, which is from the July Scrapbook Kit from the Hip Kit Club, and to go at the back here, and then I'm just going to add a pen paper from Felicity Jane on top of it, and I'm just kind of moving things around just to see kind of in terms of the orientation of where I want the photos and, you know, the title to go. Decided to go with a more vertical kind of alignment there, and then also to move 2 of the photos, so the left photos up a little bit so that I can add a title underneath the photos on the left side there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just going to adhere those pen papers down, and I am kind of just making sure that everything's stuck down using some rolling adhesive there. And now I'm just kind of trying to place the photos on top of the pen paper and just kind of making sure that, you know, there's not too much room, but there's also enough room. So I'm kind of just moving it around a little bit, and then I'm just also roughing up the pen paper as well, just to give it a bit of a, I guess, dimension. And then I'm just moving things around, repositioning it a little bit. And now adhering down the photos on the right side there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this photo down. I decided to put some foam dots underneath the photos just to kind of add, you know, a bit more dimension onto the photo. And I'm using a really kind of thin foam dots or, you know, dimensional adhesive there. Mainly because, you know, I used to use dimensional, I think it's called dimensional adhesive from Stampin' Up, so foam dots really from Stampin' Up, and they've been really good. But lately I've been using this one, which is from my local scrapbooking store, which is much thinner, and I really like that, mainly because it doesn't add too much bulk onto your onto the page. I also decided to add that strip of pen paper. I like how it's quite bold, but, you know, but I also didn't want to kind of, for it to show too much. I kind of like it to essentially add it as a corner, a cap for that corner there. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some adhesive on the back of that acetate piece that says happy. The way I added some adhesive onto that piece is just by using some glossy accent. The trick is I tend to add it a little bit on my finger and just rub it along just on the back of it, just to make sure, just so that you don't get a clump of glue, and so that it doesn't show up at all. And now that I'm looking at the spread, and it's, you know, essentially you can't really see the adhesive behind it at all, which is great. If you have a zero machine, that would work too, but I find the zero, I mean, obviously it's quite expensive to use, but also sometimes I still see the adhesive, so it's not really a big difference between just using this trick versus a zero machine for me. And now I'm just adding the word baking, which is, I've used the alphabet stickers. Essentially they're similar to the stickers, American Crafts stickers, but these ones are actually from Felicity Jane kit. And the next thing I'm going to do is I want to use this stamp, which is from the Me stamp set. It says Pieces of My Life. And I decided to stamp that onto white cardstock using some red ink pad. So the ink pad I was using is from Ali Edwards. It's called, the colour, it's called Pendleton, and it's, I think she calls it Crafter's ink, which I think it's similar to, I'd say, it's not a dye ink. I think it's probably more like a pigment ink. Yeah. And now I'm just kind of roughly cutting out this piece here, which is, well, actually cutting out this piece here, and then I'm just thinking where I want to place it onto the page. And what am I doing next? The next thing I'm going to do is I want to add some sequins. So these sequins are also from the Felicity Jane Felicity kit as well. And the way I add my sequins is I just add some, you know, dots of glue using the glossy accent there, and then I just kind of place the sequins on top. I find that I think it works quite well, mainly because if you have to apply glue onto every sequin and then put it on, I tend to just drop it over the place. So I think it's a good time saving method. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp directly onto this page here, and the stamp itself says, I think it says me / right now, and I decided to go with this ink as well. So this one is once again from Ali Edwards, and it's called Pendleton. It's the same one as I used earlier for that I used for Pieces of My Life stamp. And I decided to stamp it twice, mainly because I wanted to create a kind of a journaling spot, I guess, along that that edge on the right there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some journaling along that line there, and it will go from the right side and also along the top as well. And I decided to go for another line of journaling because I had a bit more to add, and I kind of like the effect of having kind of 2 rows of stuff like this stamp image there. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the date. I'm using the Peggy Higgins Project Lives date stamp, roller date stamp, and that is essentially it, guys. So here is the sketch once again. I'll be posting the sketch on my blog as per usual at eatscrapbake.wordpress.com, just in case you're interested in downloading it or you want to see more of these close-ups. And if you want to see the previous sketches, they're also there as well. So thanks so much for joining me again, and if you have any questions, please let me know. And so I will not be posting anything next week, mainly because I'll be away for work for most of the week, and also I might just I'll take a couple of days off at the end of the week as well. And so you won't be seeing my video until the 4th of November, which is going to be another Project Live catch up Friday video. I hope you have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for joining me again this week. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed it. And if you want YouTube to let you know when my next video comes out, please subscribe, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!